Hey everybody, Motorport 59 here. I was reading an article this morning in Market Watch, which is a stock market based news forum, and this article discussed the problems we're having with the oil crisis as it relates to OPEC. OPEC is laughing at Joe Biden. Everybody through the whole Trump administration said, "Oh, they're laughing at us. Everybody's laughing at us." Well, I don't know. If they may have been laughing at us, but they weren't messing with us. They weren't messing with Trump. They didn't want to piss him off because they knew he wouldn't tolerate it. And so the rest of the world kissed our ass the whole time President Trump was in office. The day that Joe Biden took office, all that stopped. The world does not respect Joe Biden. Are they laughing at him? I don't know. I haven't been abroad. But I'll tell you what they aren't doing. They're not respecting him. And what they are doing is forcing him to stay on his knees to beg them for things that no Republican president would have ever done. This is embarrassing. Trump's an embarrassment. No, his tweets were an embarrassment. No, Joe Biden and his administration and every policy decision they've made since he was elected, since he took office, have been an embarrassment, both domestically and globally. And the oil situation we're in right now is no different. He was on his knees begging OPEC and other Asian nations and anybody who would listen to him, and not many people were. As I said, the OPEC members weren't even answering their phones. And now, not only are they not going to help us out, they're holding their oil over our head to get concessions from the Biden administration, and you can bet your ass that the Biden administration will make those concessions because they're Democrats and they're weak. They don't know how to stand up to anyone. They just fold like a cheap suit every time some issue comes down the pike. And this time, it's not about Black Lives Matter or some domestic thing that they know will eventually burn itself out. This is a global oil crisis, and it is particularly a crisis in America because we use so much oil. And that's not going to change anytime in the near future. The only thing that's going to change the amount of oil we use is the amount of oil we're able to import, because the Democrats are not going to increase domestic production. They're too, as I've said dozens of times, they are just too beholden to the environmental lobby for that. They are going to push their Green New Deal. They're going to push renewables on us that aren't going to answer our energy needs ever. Not just right now, but ever. Never. At no time in the future will renewables come close to supplying the needs of power for America. And if anybody tells you different, they're lying. Or they're just ignorant. Sometimes people believe the lie and they're just ignorant of it. In the past, even when OPEC, the nation states of OPEC, didn't really agree with an American policy or what they were doing, they were still willing to hold up their ends of the bargains, and they wanted us to buy their oil. A great case in point is 2003. I'm not going to say that the Mideast supported Saddam Hussein, but they didn't support us attacking Iraq. But they still held up their end of the bargain. They didn't try to hold anything over our heads. Oil prices didn't go crazy. Gas prices didn't go crazy. No, there were no shortages. There's no shortage right now, but it's the speculation over all the crap surrounding Russia, Ukraine is just driving things crazy. And but what they're doing now is, as I said a minute ago, holding us hostage to oil. And the Democrats, rather than just ramping up American domestic production like we know we can, they're just going to let the American people suffer for it. Most decisions that the Biden administration have made since they took office have caused inflation to go through the roof. But the oil issues and what OPEC is doing with oil right now are further causing inflation problems. But those are global inflation problems, and America is is tied up in that. There's just no way of getting around it. The two countries that in OPEC that are the strongest countries in OPEC, even though we get very little of our oil from them, they are the honchos in OPEC, and everybody just follows their lead, and that is Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates. This is a piece from that article I was speaking about. A statement on March 9th by Youssef Otaiba. The Emirati ambassador to the United States initially hinted at an acceleration production increase and led to a sharp market correction. And that did happen, but it didn't last. And here's why. That position quickly changed. The two governments signaled via apparently authorized leaks in a number of prominent media outlets and op-eds by pro-Saudi commentators that both Saudi Arabia and the UAE wanted to use the current oil shortage to force the United States to make a slew of policy concessions. Their demands include greater U.S. military and intelligence support for their war in Yemen. Yeah, and let's go ahead and get us involved in another war that has nothing to do with America. And the Democrats will probably do it. Their demand for President Biden to back off his goal of negotiating a restoration of the 2015 nuclear deal with Iran, which he doesn't have the courage to do, and the Democrats don't have the courage to stand for or against him. They just wishy-washy about it. Whatever they're told to do is what they'll do, whatever they're told to do by their handlers. And for the president to deal directly with Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in particular, the two governments are demanding the United States restore its designation of the Houthi movement as a terrorist organization. The Houthis have fought against Saudi Arabia and the UAE in their war in Yemen. The Trump administration added the Houthis to the terror list, but Biden lifted that designation in 2021. What a guy that Joe, huh? And he has been unwilling to reinstate it, in part due to concerns that it would impede humanitarian aid to assuage the famine in parts of Yemen. That is just pure BS. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the fact that Biden is a coward, and Democrats have always caved to the terrorists. They have. Oh, it's pathetic, and their supporters just seem to think it's okay. It's like the way they're supporting. It's like the way everybody's supporting. And I'm sorry, Republicans, but there are a lot of people on the right now who are all gaga about President Zelensky, who is a communist thug dictator. But everybody embraces him, especially the left. Some of the right, too. You guys need to do your homework. I don't expect Democrats and liberals to do their homework, but I expect you to do yours if you're a conservative. Get it together, figure out what you're talking about. Anyway, back to my point. Sorry. This is just another case of countries not respecting America because they know the Democrats are in charge. This is the same thing that happened with Jimmy Carter during the Iranian hostage crisis in 1979. They had no fear of him. They had no fear of the Democrats. They knew they weren't going to do anything. But what happened the day Ronald Reagan took office? They were released. And even some historians today will say, oh yeah, but Carter negotiated. If Carter would have been reelected, those negotiations would have stalled and went away. And who knows what would happen to the hostages. But they were released because they knew Ronald Reagan wasn't going to tolerate it. And he proved it by going in a couple of years later and blowing the hell out of Gaddafi in Libya. Donald Trump would have done the same thing. I honestly believe Trump, he wouldn't have went in and blown people up, I don't think. He would have been able to go in and negotiate from a position of strength. And Biden can't do that. It's too late. He has no strength. America has no strength. We're a laughingstock now. And they don't care how America or Americans are affected by that. It's like I've said time and time again. The Democrats don't care about you. Whoever you are, it doesn't matter. Man, woman, child, black, white, pink, purple, polka dotted, Christian, Jewish, atheist, they don't care about you. All they care about is whether or not they can remain in power and continue to guide the United States down the path of socialism. This is just another example of how no one respects America right now. They're not afraid of us. They know the Democrats won't do anything. The Iran nuclear deal, all of it. It's tragic. It's tragic. And people were pissing and moaning about Donald Trump having an ugly hairpiece and mean tweets. I just don't understand how people can even consider things like that when it comes to how the country is being run. All right, what do you think about that? Are you as frustrated about all this as I am? Do you understand the danger, the danger zone we're headed into? Tell your friends. Tell your friends to tell their friends. Tell your family. Even if they disagree with you, beat it into their heads. Because if we don't do something, things are going to get a lot worse. And everyone is going to be down at the bottom. So pick your poison. Capitalism or socialism, because that's what it's coming down to now. Dealing with the world from a position of strength or dealing with the world from a position of weakness. Again, pick your poison. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motorpullet59@gmail.com. Like, share, subscribe, click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later.